Hello viewers, welcome to Nursing Tutorials with Germinal. Today we are going to be looking at the prenatal stage of development. Now the prenatal stage of development, it is a period from the time of conception to the time of birth. It's occur from 0 months to 9 months. That is the time of birth. The baby develops usually from a single cell, a single daughter cell after conception into an embryo, and then later it becomes a fetus. Now, this period extends over a period of 9 months. Now, if we take it in days or in weeks, we have 38 weeks. Then in days, we have 280 days for the prenatal stage. The prenatal stage is further divided into 3 stages. We have the germinal stage, the embryonic stage, and then the fetal stage. We are going to take these stages one after another. Now, in the germinal stage, conception occurs when the female egg is fertilized by the male egg. All right. So under normal circumstances, we know every woman ovulates once a month. Now, ovulation, it is a process in which the matured ovum or the matured female egg is released into the fallopian tube for fertilization to occur. So once the egg makes its way into the fallopian tube, the sperm cell that is released during the process of ejaculation will now make its way from the vagina to the uterus and then to the fallopian tube. Now, the whole of this process, it takes up to 10 hours after ejaculation. Now, once the sperm cell is released, the sperm penetrates the top outer layer of the ovum. And this top outer layer of the ovum is called zona pellucida. And when one sperm binds to the zona pellucida, there is a series of chemical reaction that occurs. And these reactions occur for the purpose of allowing only one sperm cell to penetrate into the ovum. All right. So the genetic material of the sperm and the genetic material of the ovum then combine to form a single cell. And this single cell is called a zygote. And once this is done, the germinal stage of the prenatal development, the zygote begins to divide in a process called cleavage. First, it divides into 2 identical cells called the blastomeres, which further divide into 4 cells, and then they further divide into 8 cells, and so on. The division continue to occur. So the group of cells, once this cell is able to divide up to 16 cells, the group of cells is now called a morula. All right, it is now called a morula. So the group of this cell, that is the morula, begins to move towards the uterus. They travel from the fallopian tube down to the uterus. At about 60 hours after fertilization, the 16 cells is formed, that is the morula, and then this morula is still enclosed by the zona pellucida, that is the top layer of the ovum. So this top layer still enclosed the morula. All right. Then in 3 days, that is 72 hours after the fertilization, the morula enters into the uterus. So you see the movement starts right from the site of fertilization, that is in the fallopian tube. Then after 72 hours of the fertilization, the morula moves down into the uterus. As the cell continue to divide, all right, the cell division usually is through the process of mitosis. Okay, that is the name of the cell division, is through the process of mitosis. So as the cell continues to divide, there will be formation of a fluid-filled cavity, which is called the blastocele. And this fluid-filled cavity, it is formed at the center of the group of cells, that is at the center of the morula. There will be presence of fluid. Now we'll end up having a cell that is called a trophoblast. That is the outer layer, that is the outer shell of the morula will become the trophoblast. And then the inner mass of this same cell is called an embryoblast. Okay. Now the zona pellucida usually disappears at this stage. It disappears. and then the morula becomes a blastocyst because the zona pellucida have disappeared, so it's now become a blastocyst. At this stage, the blastocyst can consist of about 200 to 300 cells, and is ready for implantation at this stage. So once this group of cell or the blastocyst is implanted in the endometrium of the uterus, that ends the germinal stage. Okay, so let's now take the embryonic stage, which is the next stage after the germinal stage. So the embryonic stage is usually begins after implantation. Now we have the blastocyst implanted in the endometrium, so that is the beginning of the embryonic stage. It begins after implantation and then it lasts until 8 weeks after conception. That is 2 months. Okay, 2 months after conception. So soon after the implantation, the cell continue to divide and divide and divide and divide, and then we'll now have a cluster of cells. These cells begin to differentiate, and the process of this differentiation is what we call gastrulation, and it leads to formation of 3 distinct layers. So the 3 distinct layers are formed as a result of differentiation of the cells. We have the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm. Okay, so as the embryo continue to develop, each germ layer, that is the ectoderm, the endoderm, the mesoderm, each of these layers continue to differentiate. They differentiate into different tissues and structures of the body. All right. For example, you can have the ectoderm, that is the inner layer. It eventually forms the skin. All right. And then the nails also develop from the ectoderm, the hair. All right. The brain and even the nervous system develop from the ectoderm. So also the mesoderm undergoes the same process of differentiation and then forming different structures for the mesoderm. Okay, that is the middle layer. From the mesoderm we have the muscles develop from there, and then the bones, the heart, the lungs, and the reproductive system. Okay, this is where we have these structures originating from. And then for the ectoderm, which is the outer layer, all right, the outer layer, we have the those structures that are usually found outside of the body. Okay, and then for the endoderm, the which is the innermost layer, it forms the lining of the lungs, the lining of the digestive system, and then the bladder, the tongue, the tonsils, and other inner organs. They all originate from the inner layer, that is the endoderm. So a lot of differentiation, a lot of structures originate from these 3 distinct layers, and number of weeks, all right, in weeks the development continues. Some of the major events that can occur through these stages, for example, in 3 weeks, at 3 weeks of development, we have the beginning of the development of the brain, the heart, the blood vessels, and then the circulatory system also. Then the spinal cord and the digestive system, they begin to form. At 4 weeks of fetal development, the bones develop, all right, then facial structures, the limbs, and continuous development of those structures that have started developing or forming at the age of 3 weeks. Okay, they will continue to develop. Then at 5 weeks, we have the development of the eyes, the nose, the kidneys also. At 5 weeks, they begin to form. Then there's also continuous development of those structures that have started forming at 3 weeks, at 4 weeks. Okay, and that is how it continues until we get to the 6 weeks, all right, where we have the hands, the feet, and the digits. All right, they also begin to form at the stage at the age of 6 weeks. All right, then at 7 weeks, the development of the hair follicles, the nipples, the eyes, and then the eyelids, And also sex organs, that is the testes and the ovaries, they begin to develop at 7 weeks. And then the first formation of urine by the kidney occurs at 7 weeks. At 8 weeks, we have the facial features. They become more distinct. I mean, you can be able to tell, okay, this is an eye, this is an ear, okay, this is the nose, that is the nasal bridge. Okay, you can be able to tell at 8 weeks. And by the end of the embryonic stage, all the essential external structures and the internal structures have been formed, all right? And then the embryo is now known as a fetus. It's not an embryo again, all right? It is now a fetus, and that marks the end of the embryonic stage. Okay, let's look at the fetal stage. The fetal stage usually occurs at the age of 8 to 40 weeks. 8 to 40 weeks, and it is usually characterized by rapid growth in various parts of the body. Okay, all those structures that have formed at the embryonic stage, they rapidly grow. All right, they become matured, and then the systems have emerged during the embryonic. They become well developed now, and they begin to function. Some of these major features of the fetal development is at 9 to 12 weeks. Okay, since it is a continuation from the embryonic stage, so at 9 to 12 weeks, the fetus reach approximately 1 centimeter in length. You can see just 8 centimeter in length, and then the head is approximately half the size of the fetus. The external features also, they become more distinct: the face, the neck, the eyelid, the limbs, the digits, all right? And the genitals are formed. Red blood cells is also produced by the liver at 9 to 12 weeks. Then 13 to 15 weeks, the fetus is increasing in length. It is now about 15 centimeter in length, and the fine hair with that is called lanugo. Okay, on the head of the baby, it appears. Okay, the fetus is able to swallow and make sucking motions. Then at 16 to 20 weeks, the fetus is now about 20 centimeters. Then the lanugo covers all the skin. Okay, and you see the fingers and the toes, the eyebrows, the eyelashes, they all appear. You can be able to see them, right? And the fetus become more active. I mean, the mother can be able to feel a kick, okay? And the mother can sometimes begin to feel the fetal movement, okay, at this stage. Then at the 21 to 24 weeks, it is approximately 20 centimeter in length, and then the weight is also increasing. The weight of the baby is now about 0.7 kg. Then the hair on the head continue to grow longer. Okay, they continue to grow. The lungs continue to develop with the formation of the sac, that is the alveoli, and then start to reflex develop at this stage. Okay, all right. We also going to look at what happened at the 25 to 28 weeks of development. The fetus is now 38 centimeter in length, and it's weighing about 1.2 kg. Now, there is greater control over movement, okay? The baby can be able to open the eyelids, okay? Open and then close the eyelids at the age of 25 to 28 weeks. At the 29 to 32 weeks, it reaches approximately 38 to 43 centimeter in length. Okay, and it now weighs about 2 kg. Wow, you can see in the previous weeks just 1.2 kg, and now the baby is growing, so it is approximately 2 kg at this stage. And there's usually a fat deposit. It's become more pronounced under the skin of the fetus, and then the lungs remain immature, but breathing movement begin. Okay, the breathing movement begin at this stage. At 33 to 38 weeks, it reaches 41 to 48 centimeters in length, and then it's now weighing approximately 2.6 to 3 kg. And the lanugo begins to disappear. The lanugo that covers the skin of the baby, it begins to disappear, and then the fingernails are now fully grown. Okay. At 38 weeks, it's now 48 to 53 centimeter in length, and it is at this stage that the fetus is considered a term fetus. Okay, it is a term fetus at this stage. The baby can be delivered at this stage. So this is it pertaining the prenatal stage. I hope you enjoy it. Please send your comment and let us know what topic you would like to know more about. If you like this content, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you.